Today, we're diving into the absolutely harrowing story of Natasha Kampusch, a 10-year-old girl who was literally snatched off of Vienna Street and held captive in a secret cellar for 3,096 days. We're going to explore how she managed to survive an ordeal that all started with a simple walk to school.
And these are Natasha's own words. I mean, think about that. She was walking to school all by herself for the very first time, probably feeling so grown up, this rush of new independence. And that hope, that feeling of a new beginning, was just twisted into the start of a nightmare that would go on for the next 8.5 years.
So let's go back to that day. It was Monday, March 2nd, 1998, in a pretty quiet part of Vienna. It started just like any other day, really, with this small but significant step in a child's life.
She was just 10 years old. 10. After a little argument with her mom, Natasha set off for school, probably wanting to prove that she wasn't a little kid anymore. And this was it. This was the very first time she was making that walk all on her own.
As she was walking, a man just blocked her path. She saw him get into his parked van and maybe thought nothing of it, but then he grabbed her. She said it was like a choreography of terror. It happened so fast. There was no time to even scream. And just like that, in a matter of seconds, her world just vanished.
So the man drove for about half an hour to a nearby town called Strashof. And this is where she was taken, into a prison that was built specifically for her, hidden right under an ordinary, everyday suburban house.
For 3,096 days, this tiny hidden room would become her entire universe. Let that number sink in. That's 8.5 years of her childhood, her teenage life, just gone. And this wasn't just some room with a lock on the door. Getting into her prison was like something out of a movie, an absolute labyrinth designed to make escape completely impossible. Just look at these steps. Even for him, getting in and out was a whole production. The reality of this dungeon was just grim. It was a tiny, dark, damp box. The only sound was the constant hum of a ventilator fan, just circulating stale air. With no natural light, she lost all track of time. Of days, of nights, of seasons. It was a space designed to completely erase someone from the world.
But the physical prison, well, that was just one part of this whole ordeal. Her captor, a 35-year-old guy named Wolfgang Priklopel, was waging this relentless psychological war against her. His method was this really disturbing mix of pure cruelty and what, on the surface, might look like kindness. He'd starve her for days and then bring her fancy cakes. He'd beat her, but he'd also give her books and toys. This constant whiplash was an incredibly powerful tool of manipulation, all of it designed to just break her spirit and make her completely dependent on him.
At the end of the day, his goal was absolute power. He made her call him master and made it crystal clear she had zero rights. As Natasha herself explained, every single thing he did, whether it was abusive or seemed kind, it was all just another way for him to reinforce his total dominance over her. And then there was this, probably one of the most sadistic parts of her psychological torture. Even in that tiny, isolated cell, she had no peace. He could invade her mind whenever he wanted, day or night, just relentlessly repeating phrases like, "Obey me," making sure she was never, ever truly alone and always under his thumb. But after 3,096 days, that dynamic of absolute control was shattered by a single, completely unplanned moment of distraction. So on August 23rd, 2006, she was actually outside, ordered to vacuum the very van he used to abduct her all those years ago. And then his phone rang. Annoyed by the noise of the vacuum, he walked just a few feet away to hear better. And in that one instant, for the first time in 3,096 days, his guard was down. He was distracted. And she ran. She just ran. Despite being so weak, weighing only about 105 pounds, she bolted over 200 yards. She jumped over fences, ran through people's yards, screaming for help. And incredibly, a couple of neighbors actually ignored her before one finally called the police.
And with that run, Natasha's captivity was over. She was free. But the story, as you can imagine, doesn't just end there. The aftermath would bring its own set of really complex challenges and some pretty shocking revelations. Priklopel had always told her he'd never be taken alive, and he was true to his word. Hours after she found freedom, he ended his own life. As Natasha later put it was clear only one of us would survive, and in the end, it was me and not him.
Now, a lot of people were really quick to label what she was going through with this term, right? Stockholm Syndrome. They tried to fit her experience into this neat little box, but the reality of her psychology was so much more complicated than any textbook definition. So, when the police told Natasha that her captor was dead, her reaction was not at all what they expected. She cried, uncontrollably. And her words, they shocked the world. But they reveal this profound, twisted connection that was forged over 8.5 years of total isolation. It wasn't love. It was this complex grief for the only human being in her world, a man she could only describe as a poor soul. And really, this is the central question of Natasha Kampusch's story. Her journey didn't end with her escape. In so many ways, it was just beginning. Her survival is this incredible testament to the resilience of the human spirit, and it forces all of us to think about the unimaginable challenge of rebuilding a life after it has been so completely stolen from you.